Ravi had always thought life on the exploration station would be predictable. Every day was filled with repairs, maintenance checks, and long hours of watching blinking lights on screens. He worked as an engineer, the kind of person who kept machines alive so that the people inside them could live without worry. Humans like him were spread across the galaxy now, learning, exploring, and meeting species who lived in very different ways. Ravi liked his quiet job. He liked things that made sense: numbers, wires, and circuits. But on this particular day, something very unusual broke his routine. The station had recently welcomed visitors from a new alien species who had just made contact with humans. They were travelers too, moving through the stars, but their traditions were unlike anything Ravi had seen before. The crew had been told to treat them with respect, since first meetings could shape the future of trust between species. Ravi expected this to mean polite greetings and formal discussions. He never imagined how personal it would become. Ravi was sitting in the small lounge area, sipping from a cup of warm tea. The air around him carried the quiet hum of machines. He liked this spot because it was peaceful. Few people came here during shift hours. That was when the door slid open, and Lyra entered. She was one of the visitors from the new species. Her skin had a soft teal blue tone, and her dark hair fell loosely over her shoulders. She carried herself with calmness, her steps unhurried, her expression gentle. Ravi had seen her once or twice before in the docking area but had never spoken directly to her. This time, however, she walked straight to him. Without hesitation, she sat beside him on the bench. Ravi blinked, a little surprised, but said nothing at first. He was used to people asking before joining, but perhaps her people did not follow the same custom? It was then he noticed something that made him almost choke on his tea. She wore no clothing at all. For a brief moment, Ravi froze. His human mind screamed with discomfort, but he remembered the instructions: respect their ways. Do not judge what you do not understand. Before he could say anything, Lyra spoke in a calm, steady voice. This is a sign of devotion, she said. Her words were clear, though her accent carried the melody of her language. Among my people, sitting without covering before someone is the way we show trust. We hide nothing. We hold nothing back. It is a gift of openness. Ravi placed his cup down carefully. He could feel the heat in his face, not from anger but from awkwardness. Still, he forced himself to breathe slowly. This was not a joke. This was not disrespect. This was her culture. He nodded slowly, trying to keep his voice steady. I see, it is your way of showing respect, he said. Her eyes softened, and she gave a small smile. Yes. It means I honor you. I give you my truth. Inside, Ravi felt torn. For humans, clothing was basic. It was comfort, protection, and dignity. Without it, people felt exposed and uneasy. For her, however, the act meant something completely different. She was not trying to make him uncomfortable, she was offering him the deepest form of honesty she knew. Ravi leaned back against the bench and looked at her. He reminded himself that exploration was not only about planets or technology, it was also about learning ways of life beyond Earth. This moment, though unusual, was part of that mission. I thank you, Lyra, he said finally. I did not expect this, but I understand that it is important to you. She studied his face carefully, as if searching for any sign of mockery or insult. When she found none, her smile grew a little brighter. You accept, she said softly. That means much. Many do not. For a while, they sat in silence. Ravi's first instinct was to leave, but he stayed. He realized that if he walked away, he might break the fragile bridge she was trying to build. Instead, he decided to treat her gesture seriously. After a few minutes, he asked, among your people, is this custom only for close friends? She tilted her head. It is for those we choose to trust. It is not done for everyone, only for those who show patience and kindness. That made Ravi pause. Why had she chosen him? He was no leader, no diplomat, just an engineer who fixed machines. Yet perhaps, in her eyes, his calm and quiet nature had spoken more loudly than any title could. As the moments passed, Ravi began to feel less awkward. He still did not fully understand, but he began to see the meaning behind her act. She had not come here to confuse him. She had come here to share a piece of her world. When the conversation ended, she stood gracefully. "I will leave now," she said. "But remember, this devotion is not small. It is the first step between us." Ravi watched her walk out of the lounge. He let out a long breath he did not realize he had been holding. His day, which began with routine and blinking lights, had turned into something entirely different. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, and thought to himself, the galaxy is wider and stranger than I ever imagined. And yet, maybe this is what makes us human: the ability to listen, to respect, and to learn. For the first time in weeks, Ravi felt that his work on the station was not just about machines. It was about moments like this, moments that tested patience, challenged comfort, and built bridges across the stars. Ravi thought the meeting with Lyra was finished, but the memory of it followed him through the rest of the day. While he repaired circuits and checked oxygen levels, his mind kept returning to the lounge, the calm way she spoke, the way she described devotion, and the trust she seemed to place in him. For humans, devotion was spoken in promises, shown in actions, or kept within the heart. For her, it was something else entirely. The difference was fascinating but also confusing. The next morning, Ravi found himself walking toward the docking section where Lyra and her people had their living space. He did not plan it at first, but his curiosity pushed him forward. If he wanted to understand, he would need to ask. When he arrived, he saw her again. She was sitting cross-legged on a woven mat, humming softly to herself. Around her were small objects that looked like crystals, each glowing faintly. They seemed to pulse with the rhythm of her song. She noticed him and smiled warmly. "Ravi," she said. "You came." He nodded politely. "Yes. I wanted to ask you something. About yesterday." Her expression turned serious, but still gentle. She waited for him to continue. Ravi hesitated. He did not want to offend her. "For humans," he began slowly, "clothing is very important. It is not only protection but also comfort. Without it, people feel uneasy. When you sat beside me like that, I was not sure how to react. I did not want to disrespect you, but it was very new for me." Lyra tilted her head, thinking carefully. "You cover yourselves because it is your way," she said. "For us, covering is rare. We do not hide from each other. Our bodies are part of our truth. To show them is to say, I keep no secrets." Ravi nodded, understanding her explanation but still feeling the weight of difference. "I see. For us, not showing is the way we show respect. We value privacy." Her eyes widened slightly, as though the idea surprised her. "So your devotion is the opposite? You cover, not because of fear, but because of care." "Yes," Ravi said. "We respect each other's space by allowing privacy. It is a form of kindness." For a moment, both of them sat in silence, the crystals glowing softly between them. It was clear that what meant loyalty to one could mean discomfort to the other. Lyra finally spoke again, her voice quiet but thoughtful. "Then when I sat beside you, I was giving what I thought was honor. But to you, it felt strange." Ravi nodded carefully. "Yes. But I knew you meant no harm. I could see it in your eyes." Her smile returned, soft and warm. "That is good. Many would laugh, or turn away, or think badly of me. But you did not. That is why I chose you. The word surprised Ravi. He frowned slightly. Chose me? For what? For trust, she answered simply. Among my people, devotion is not offered lightly. It is only given to those we believe will listen. Ravi sat back, letting her words sink in. He had never thought of himself as someone special. He was just an engineer, not a diplomat or a leader. Yet somehow, she saw in him the patience to listen, and that was enough for her. Wanting to return the respect, Ravi decided to share something human. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small item, a folded piece of paper with a name written on it. It was an old Earth custom he still carried, a simple slip where he had once written his own name as a boy during school. He handed it to her. In our way, he explained, writing our names is a promise. It means this is who I am, and I give it to you. It is like saying, I will not hide my identity. Lyra took the paper gently in her hands, her fingers tracing the letters. She looked at it as though it were a rare treasure. Your devotion, she whispered. You gave it to me. Ravi smiled faintly. Yes. Maybe our ways are different, but the meaning is the same. Her eyes shone with a quiet joy. Then we have both given. We have both received. At that moment, Ravi realized something important. Misunderstanding was natural when two worlds met, but misunderstanding did not have to be a wall. It could be a doorway if both sides were willing to listen. Before leaving, Lyra placed one of her glowing crystals in his hand. This is my name, she said softly. It holds the sound of who I am. Keep it, as I keep your writing. Ravi nodded, feeling the smooth surface of the crystal. It hummed faintly in his palm, like a heartbeat. As he walked back through the corridors of the station, Ravi thought about how strange and yet beautiful the moment had been. Two people from two worlds, trying to bridge the gap between them. Their customs were opposite, but the devotion was real on both sides. He smiled to himself and whispered, maybe this is what it means to explore not only the stars, but the hearts of others. Days passed quietly on the exploration station, but Ravi noticed that his path often crossed with Lyra's. She had a calm way of moving through the busy corridors, as if the noise of the machines and the chatter of the crew never disturbed her. Where others rushed, she walked slowly. Where others looked down at screens, she looked directly at people's faces. Ravi began to realize that her people did not just have different customs, they lived by a different rhythm. They valued openness and devotion, not only in words but in daily actions. Curious to learn more, Ravi accepted her invitation one evening to visit the space her group had arranged for themselves. When he entered, he was surprised. Unlike the metallic walls and sharp lights of the human sections, the alien quarters were filled with soft colors and flowing fabrics. The air smelled faintly sweet, and the floor was lined with woven mats instead of metal plates. In the center stood bowls of water surrounded by glowing crystals like the one she had given him. Lyra greeted him with a smile. You came. That means you are ready to see more. Ravi nodded, looking around with wide eyes. It is very different from our side of the station. Yes, she replied gently. For us, a place is not only for work. It must also hold the spirit of those who live there. She guided him toward a circle of mats where a few other members of her species were seated. They greeted him politely but quietly, then returned to their silent activity. They were holding the glowing crystals in their hands, passing them back and forth, almost like a game. But instead of laughter, there was deep concentration. What are they doing? Ravi whispered. They are sharing loyalty, Lyra answered. The crystal holds a memory of the one who carries it. When passed to another, it is like saying, I give you part of myself. It is how we practice trust. Ravi watched in silence, fascinated. To him, a crystal was just an object, yet for them it was a symbol of connection. It reminded him of how humans shook hands or exchanged gifts, though this seemed deeper and more personal. After a few moments, Lyra placed one of the crystals into his palm. "Would you like to try?" Ravi hesitated, then nodded. He held it carefully, feeling the gentle hum inside. He passed it back to the alien beside him, who accepted it with a small bow. Ravi felt a strange warmth in his chest, not from the crystal, but from the simple act of being included. Later, Lyra showed him other customs. They ate a small meal together, not with utensils but with their hands, sharing from the same bowl. The food was soft and slightly sweet, unlike anything Ravi had tasted. She explained that sharing food from one bowl symbolized equality, no one above, no one below. After the meal, they sang together in low voices. The song had no words Ravi understood, but the harmony was gentle and calming. The sounds seemed to fill the air like flowing water. Ravi joined softly, humming along, and Lyra gave him an encouraging nod. When the gathering ended, Lyra turned to him. "Now you have seen our ways. Do you think they are strange?" Ravi thought carefully. "Different, yes. But not strange. I can see the meaning in them. You share crystals, you share food, you share songs. It is all about devotion." She smiled warmly. "And you? What do humans do for devotion?" Ravi paused. He thought about it. Humans had so many customs: handshakes, wedding rings, written promises, gifts, letters. But one idea stood out to him. "We make promises," he said finally. "Sometimes we even write them down. A promise is very strong for us. If we break it, we lose trust. So keeping it is devotion." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Then your promises are like our crystals. Both carry a piece of the heart." Ravi felt a quiet sense of connection between them. Though their worlds seemed so far apart, the heart of their traditions was the same: trust, respect, devotion. The surface looked different, but the meaning was alike. As he walked back to his own quarters later, Ravi carried the glowing crystal she had once given him. He held it in one hand and thought about the paper slip with his name that she kept. Two objects, so simple, but carrying such weight. That night, as he lay on his bunk, Ravi realized something important. Humans were not alone in wanting to be trusted, respected, and remembered. Every species, no matter how different, wanted the same thing: to be understood. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "The alien way is not so alien after all." Ravi had grown used to spending time with Lyra. Almost every day, he visited her people's quarters, learning about their songs, their meals, and their crystal-sharing rituals. He had even started teaching them a few human customs in return: how to write names, how to shake hands, and even how to play a simple card game. To Ravi, it felt like a bridge was slowly being built between their two cultures. But not everyone on the station shared his view. Whispers began to spread among the crew. In the cafeteria, Ravi noticed the way some workers looked at him when he walked in. Their eyes followed him, not with kindness but with curiosity mixed with judgment. Once, while waiting for his food, he overheard two people speaking in low voices. "He spends too much time with them," one said. "Yeah," the other replied. "Those aliens are strange. Always sitting in silence with glowing rocks. It's not normal. He should be careful." Ravi pretended not to hear, but inside, the words stung. Why was it so hard for them to understand? The whispers grew louder when a small group of humans saw him walking with Lyra down one of the corridors. She carried no clothing as part of her custom, though she walked with dignity and calmness. To her, it was a sacred act. But to the humans who passed by, it became a subject of jokes. One technician muttered under his breath, "Looks like he's found a new hobby." Another chuckled. Ravi felt his face heat with embarrassment, not for himself but for Lyra. She deserved respect, not mockery. Later that evening, in the engineering bay, Ravi's colleague Amir approached him. Amir was a practical man, always focused on work. He leaned closer and said quietly, "Ravi, people are talking. They don't understand why you spend so much time with her. They think it's unusual." Ravi set down his tools and looked Amir in the eye. "It is unusual. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. Her people are different, yes, but different is not bad. They've trusted me with their ways. Should I turn away just because it makes others uncomfortable?" Amir sighed. "I'm not saying you should. I'm just warning you. People fear what they don't understand." Those words stayed with Ravi all night. Fear what they don't understand. He realized this was the real problem. It wasn't that the crew disliked Lyra's people, it was that they didn't try to understand them. To many, anything unfamiliar was seen as strange, maybe even dangerous. The next day, Ravi found Lyra sitting in the lounge again, her crystal glowing faintly in her hands. She looked peaceful, but when she saw his troubled expression, her eyes narrowed slightly. "You are carrying a shadow," she said softly. Ravi sat beside her with a sigh. "The crew doesn't understand. They think your ways are strange. Some laugh, some whisper. I don't like it." Lyra studied him for a moment. Then she placed the crystal into his palm. "This is why devotion is not easy. To trust across difference is always heavy. But you are carrying it well." Her calmness steadied him. Still, Ravi felt the need to do something more. He didn't want to just ignore the whispers, he wanted to speak. That chance came during the weekly crew meeting. The station gathered in the central hall, where reports were shared and concerns discussed. Ravi was not a leader, but when the subject of cultural tensions came up, he felt his chest tighten. The commander asked if anyone wished to speak, and Ravi raised his hand. At first, his voice was quiet, but it grew stronger as he spoke. "I know many of you find Lyra's people different. Yes, their ways are not like ours. They share crystals instead of handshakes, they eat from the same bowl, they sing songs we don't understand. And yes, they do not use clothing the way we do. But listen carefully, none of this is meant to offend us. It is their way of showing devotion, trust, and respect. If we laugh at them, we laugh at the very thing they hold sacred. Is that the kind of explorers we want to be?" The room grew quiet. Ravi continued, his eyes steady. "When humans first traveled into space, we hoped others would treat us with respect. Shouldn't we do the same now? To explore means not only to discover new planets but also to open our hearts. If we cannot do that, then what makes us different from machines?" For a moment, there was silence. Then the commander gave a small nod. "Well said, Ravi." Some of the crew shifted uncomfortably, but others looked thoughtful. The whispers did not disappear completely, but the open mocking stopped. People began to look at Ravi not with judgment but with curiosity, perhaps even respect. When he left the hall, Lyra was waiting at the corner. She gave him a smile that was quiet but full of meaning. "You defended us," she said simply. Ravi shook his head. "I only spoke the truth. Respect is not something we should give with conditions, it is something we should give because it is right." For the first time since the whispers began, Ravi felt light again. He had chosen to stand firm, and in doing so, he had shown that devotion was not just an alien custom. It was also human. The exploration station floated quietly in orbit above a gray-blue planet, its long arms shining faintly in the starlight. To anyone outside, it looked strong and calm. But inside, an unseen problem was growing. It began with a flicker. Ravi noticed it first while checking the engineering panels. The power readings were uneven, jumping from high to low in a way they should not. He tapped the screen, reset the system, and waited. For a few minutes, the numbers stabilized. Then the flicker returned stronger this time. Soon, The lights in the corridor dimmed and brightened. The hum of the life support system stuttered, as though the station itself was trying to catch its breath. Ravi's heart quickened. A failure in the main power could mean trouble for everyone on board. He hurried to the control center, where the commander and other engineers were already gathered around a glowing display. Worry filled the room. The primary energy core is unstable, one officer reported. If it shuts down completely, life support will fail within hours. The commander's voice was steady but tense. We need a solution quickly. Suggestions. Several engineers proposed standard fixes: rerouting power, shutting down non-essential systems, resetting circuits. Ravi knew these might buy time but not solve the deeper issue. The core itself was failing. Before anyone could speak further, a soft voice rose from the back of the room. It was Lyra. She stood calmly, her teal-blue skin glowing faintly under the emergency lights. "My people understand energy crystals," she said. "We have lived with them for generations. The power you use is different, but its heart is the same. We can help." The room fell silent. Some of the crew shifted uncomfortably. A few whispered to each other. The commander frowned slightly. "We appreciate your offer, but this is delicate human technology. We cannot risk damage." Ravi stepped forward. "Wait. She may be right. Her people's crystals are stable energy sources. If she sees a pattern we missed, we should listen." Another officer shook his head. "It's too risky. If we let them touch the systems, we may lose everything." Ravi looked around the room. He saw doubt in many faces, fear in others. But he also saw the station's lights flickering again, a reminder that time was running out. He turned to the commander. "Sir, trust is not built when everything is safe. It is built when things are difficult. We asked her people to live here with us. Now, when they offer help, we cannot push them aside. Let me work with her. If we succeed, we save the station. If we fail, at least we tried together." The commander studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Very well. But be careful. The responsibility will be yours." Ravi felt the weight of those words, but he stood tall. He turned to Lyra. "Let's do this." Together, they entered the engineering bay. The core chamber glowed faintly, its energy lines pulsing irregularly. Lyra approached it with quiet reverence, as though it were alive. She placed her crystal against one of the panels, and immediately, the lines of energy shimmered in response. "This core breathes like our crystals," she whispered. "But its breath is broken. It needs harmony." Ravi quickly connected her observations to his knowledge. "The energy waves are clashing. If we adjust the frequency, maybe we can stabilize it." For the next hour, they worked side by side. Ravi adjusted circuits while Lyra placed crystals against key points, listening with her ear close to the hum. She guided him where to change the flow, and he translated her instincts into technical action. Slowly, the flicker began to fade. The hum grew steadier. The lights stopped trembling. At last, the readings on the screen leveled out. The energy core pulsed smoothly, as if breathing calmly again. The danger had passed. Ravi leaned back with relief, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We did it." Lyra smiled, her crystal glowing brighter than before. "Not you. Not me. We." When they returned to the control center, the commander and crew looked at the stable readings with wide eyes. Relief spread through the room. The commander gave Ravi a firm nod. "You took a risk, and it paid off. Well done both of you." But Ravi shook his head. "The thanks should go to her. Without her, we would have lost the station." For the first time, many of the crew looked at Lyra not with doubt, but with respect. She stood quietly, not seeking praise, but her calm presence spoke louder than any words. As the meeting ended, Ravi walked beside her. "You proved something important today," he said softly. "That devotion is not just a custom, it can also be action." Lyra turned to him, her eyes shining. "And you proved that humans can trust when it matters most. That is devotion too." After the energy core crisis, the atmosphere on the station changed. Ravi noticed it first in small ways. Crew members who had once whispered or stared at Lyra now greeted her politely. Some even asked questions about her people's customs, curious rather than mocking. The shift was subtle, but it was real. Ravi walked through the corridors, noticing the difference. One technician smiled at him and nodded toward Lyra. Another paused to ask about the glowing crystals she carried. Ravi felt a quiet satisfaction. Respect had begun to replace fear. He found Lyra in the lounge, sitting cross-legged as usual, her crystal glowing softly beside her. She looked up when he entered, her expression calm but gentle. "The humans are different today," Ravi said, settling beside her. "They watch with curiosity, not judgment." She nodded slowly. "Yes. They have seen that devotion is not only words or appearance. It is action. And you showed them the meaning." Ravi shook his head. "You helped them understand. I only spoke the truth. Without your guidance, we could have failed. The station might not have survived." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then we did it together. You listened when it mattered. That is human strength." For a moment, they sat in silence, feeling the calm after the storm. The lights of the station hummed steadily, the soft glow of the panels reflecting in the crystal. Ravi realized how unusual the bond between them had become. It was not just friendship, but something deeper, mutual respect built on understanding and trust. Later that day, the commander called a small gathering in the lounge. This time, it was not about work or instructions. He wanted to acknowledge the effort of everyone involved in saving the station. Ravi and Lyra were at the center. "Thanks to teamwork, quick thinking, and trust," the commander began, "we overcame a dangerous situation. I want to recognize two individuals in particular, Ravi, for stepping forward and trusting another species, and Lyra, for sharing the knowledge that saved us all." There were murmurs of agreement, and a few people clapped quietly. Lyra gave a polite bow, her crystal glowing softly. Ravi felt a warmth in his chest. For the first time, her people's traditions were seen as valuable, not strange. A few crew members approached them afterward, asking questions respectfully. How did the crystals work? How did Lyra know what to do? Ravi answered patiently, explaining what he could, and Lyra added her own insights. They saw that understanding was stronger than fear. That evening, Ravi and Lyra returned to their usual spot in the lounge. He held the crystal she had given him the first day, feeling its gentle hum in his palm. "Do you see now?" Lyra asked softly. "Your people can learn. They can respect what they do not fully understand. That is the beginning of harmony." Ravi nodded. "Yes. It is not always easy. Many of them still struggle with new ideas. But they are listening. That is the first step." She leaned closer, her tone gentle. "And you? Will you continue to listen to others, even when it is difficult?" "I will," Ravi replied firmly. "I think that is what makes humans strong. We can adapt. We can understand. We can respect. And sometimes, we can build bridges where others see walls." Lyra's smile grew brighter, a reflection of the trust and friendship that had formed. "Then your devotion is as strong as mine." Different, yet the same. The next few days were filled with learning and collaboration. Crew members began to try some of her customs under guidance. They passed crystals, shared meals, and even joined in soft songs. Lyra guided them patiently, explaining the meaning behind each act. Ravi watched proudly. The station was becoming more than a place to live, it was a small world where species could truly understand each other. That night, Ravi returned to his quarters with a quiet satisfaction. He looked at the crystal in his hand, remembering the first time Lyra had given it to him. How strange it had seemed then, and how much it had taught him now. He whispered to himself, "Respect is earned not by force, but by patience and trust. Humans can give it, and humans can receive it. That is our strength." Lyra's presence, her customs, and her devotion had taught him an important lesson. It was a lesson about courage, about understanding, and about the power of genuine connection. And in this lesson, humanity had once again shown why it could thrive among the stars, not because of strength alone, but because of its heart. Days passed on the station, and life settled into a calm routine. The energy core was stable, the lights no longer flickered, and the hum of the station felt steady and safe. Yet something more remarkable had changed than the machines, the crew. Ravi noticed it first in small moments. Crew members smiled more often at Lyra, and they no longer whispered when she passed. Some even asked her questions about her people's traditions. They were curious, not judgmental. The whispers of doubt had faded into quiet interest, and respect had taken their place. Ravi walked to the lounge one evening, carrying a small cup of warm tea. Lyra was already there, sitting cross-legged as usual, her crystal glowing faintly beside her. She looked up when he entered, and her soft smile greeted him. "You are quiet today," she said softly. "I am thinking," Ravi replied. "Thinking about how far we have come. The crew has begun to understand. They see the meaning behind your customs. They see devotion as you do, not strange, but powerful." Lyra nodded. "It took patience. And trust. You guided them with your heart." Ravi smiled, feeling warmth at her words. "I only tried to listen. And to speak honestly. That is the way we build bridges." She leaned slightly forward, her voice gentle. "Do you remember the first day we met?" Ravi nodded. The memory was vivid. Lyra had sat beside him, without clothing, as a sign of devotion. He had been confused, unsure how to react, yet he had chosen to respect her. That choice had changed everything. "Yes," he said quietly. "I remember. I did not understand, but I respected it. That was the first step." Lyra's eyes shone with a calm light. "And that step created trust. From trust comes understanding. From understanding comes respect." Ravi looked around the lounge. The soft glow of the crystals filled the room, and he realized that the place no longer felt alien or strange. It felt like a home where different worlds met and learned from each other. "Your customs, they taught me something important," Ravi said. "Humans can be strong not only with technology or strategy, but also with patience, respect, and openness. We can listen, and we can change when we see the right path." Lyra's smile deepened. "And humans have taught my people that respect can be returned. That what is offered with devotion can be received with care. That is why we work well together." For the first time, Ravi felt the full meaning of what they had accomplished. It was not only about saving the station or stabilizing the core. It was about bridging worlds, connecting hearts, and proving that humans could thrive among others through understanding, patience, and honor. The following days were filled with shared learning. Crew members tried some of Lyra's customs, passing crystals, sharing meals, and even humming the soft songs she had taught. Ravi guided them with patience, explaining how devotion and trust worked in different forms. The station had become more than a workplace, it was now a small community where differences were celebrated and understood. One evening, Ravi and Lyra sat together in the lounge, each holding a crystal, his glowing softly, hers brighter still. They shared a quiet smile, the kind that needed no words. "Do you think they will ever forget?" Ravi asked softly. Lyra shook her head gently. "They will not forget. This lesson is now part of them. And so it is part of you. Ravi looked at her, realizing that the bond they had formed was rare. Not just friendship, but respect, trust, and devotion in its truest form. Across the stars, humans were known for courage, intelligence, and curiosity. But here, on this station, Ravi saw another strength: humans could connect, understand, and honor differences. He placed his crystal beside hers, their light mingling in the soft glow of the lounge. "This is what it means to explore," he said. "Not just to discover planets, but to discover hearts. To learn, to respect, and to grow together." Lyra nodded, her voice quiet and steady. "Yes. And that is what makes humans special. Your heart is as strong as your mind. You can inspire, protect, and build bridges where none existed before." For a long while, they sat in silence, simply feeling the calm of the station and the quiet hum of energy. Outside, stars twinkled in endless skies. Inside, two worlds had met and learned to trust each other fully. Ravi finally spoke, a small smile on his face. "We have done more than survive together. We have built understanding. And that is the real victory." Lyra's eyes sparkled softly. "Then let us continue," she said. "For devotion, trust, and understanding are not once-in-a-lifetime acts. They are daily choices." Ravi nodded. Together, they rose and walked through the corridor of the station. Their steps were calm, their hearts confident. In every corridor, every panel, and every glowing crystal, the lesson was clear: humans could face the unknown, not only with skill, but with respect, patience, and a heart ready to understand. And in that, humanity shone brighter than ever, proving again that across the stars, humans were a species that could inspire, connect, and thrive.